What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. Welcome to the New York Jets Syndicate channel. I want to kind of talk about the offensive line situation a bit, more specifically the tackle situations where the future as of right now is within the hands of Mekhi Becton on the left side and Max Mitchell on the right side. And you can make the argument that our new guy, Carter Warren, that might be in reverse. Either way, you can make the argument those three guys are generally in the fold, right? Behind them, Dwayne Brown, aging veteran, retirement is very much so in the picture next offseason. Cedric Ogilvie, not going to really be the future of this franchise. And so when I look at the left tackle position, you're talking Joe Douglas's first pick of his tenure with the New York Jets. He swung for the fences his rookie season. We got to see everything that Joe Douglas would have fell in love with. And again, I don't question the talent. If he can stay on the field, I strongly believe we're looking at an all-pro on a year-in, year-out basis. Um, but the durability just isn't there. Interestingly enough, I feel like this is a situation that compares very well to Jordan Love. And X Factor happened to have dropped a great article on this as well. Mekhi Becton has not really been able to see the field whatsoever. You think about his rookie season, and then when the injuries begin to hit immediately in his sophomore year, he hasn't really been doing workouts. He hasn't really been able to do much other than rehabilitation and surgeries. And then when we did get a chance to see him last year, he gets hurt immediately. So we don't really know what the fall off is, right? Obviously, he had a pretty strong rookie season, but it's not necessarily this otherworldly performance that he put up, right? There were still 6 or 7 sacks that he gave up that year. Still had a better pass block rate than a run block rate, even though, a lot of highlight reels of him blowing people up. Um, and so I have high hopes just based on the fact that I know he's been working with offensive line guru Duke Manyweather. When we think about the long term future of this position, though, we basically could be looking to start from scratch again next year. And I know a lot of us strongly felt that if not Dewan Jones, if I'm losing my mind on the tackle that the Steelers traded up to pick up for us right now. But if we had that option available, I'm sure we would have picked him. Since we don't, you're talking about a guy here, Broderick Jones. There we go. You're thinking about a guy in Mekhi Becton here that could have that long term potential. Do you want to put all your chips into the pile, though, on a guy that's been in one game and not even an entire full game in the last couple years? Obviously, that should be a no for everybody. So there was a question that came up. We declined his extension. Would we pull off a Jordan Love type move to give ourselves a year leeway at maybe a better rate, or maybe uh, organizing the contract in a way that makes sense cap wise for both us and Mekhi Becton, right? So he was going to get about 13.5 million, something like that on the tag. What Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers did with his contract is they've been essentially said between 2023 and 2024 next year, you would have made, let's say, $26 million, right? Between the option and then whatever his 2023 contract was. They gave him about half of what that combined total was, and then from my understanding is they based his 2024 salary based on what he would do in 2023. So it's a pretty interesting setup. It's not performance escalators per se for the next year, but whatever he does in 2023 will dictate what's going to happen with his next year's contract. And so not only is it team friendly in that front, that if he isn't the quarterback they expect, they'll be able to move on without significant, cap penalties. But if he is, they also get him at another good rate, but then they get him on another year to really hone in and decide if this is going to be their guy they choose to build around for the future. And then you still get yourselves 2 seasons of proof of what this guy is to you before you decide you want to make that commitment. And I think that's exactly what we needed with Mekhi Becton. I was actually arguing for some time that we should still pick up his option year, understanding it's fully guaranteed. But if you want to play the what if game, you can go for Mekhi Becton. you can go from a Mekhi Becton to a guy like our rookie Carter Warren, and the drop off can be pretty steep, right? I mean, I guess in our situation, what's going for anybody else on the roster is the fact that they have the availability to stay on the field, right? But if you take that question about the availability, the durability of Mekhi Becton out, I don't think it's much of a risk whatsoever when you're betting on the talent. So I think this will be a good setup. I think this is a smart discussion that a guy like Joe Douglas should be having with Mekhi Becton. What can we work out to where we can get you for another year? We get that opportunity to see that you can stay on track. This isn't just a 1 year blip on the radar where you did everything you need to do during the off season because it was a make or break year. We want to see that consistency out of him. And so what he made 13 and a half this year. I think Mekhi Becton, and let me just look up what he's making this year. He is going to make about uh, 3.12 million in base salary. So you can say let's guarantee him on an extension like a $7 million contract. We'll give him escalators or performance incentives and the range of like 6.5 million, which will get him to that option bonus. And they can restructure those numbers however they need to kind of fit into the formula that we've seen with a guy like Jordan Love. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I've had plenty of these conversations with a lot of fans. A lot of people are just kind of done with Mekhi Becton. A lot of people still very much so believe in the talent, but they aren't willing to take a risk on a heavy contract situation, which I don't blame them on whatsoever. But this may be an interesting creative solution to kind of solve both sides, meet both parties in the middle. Joe Douglas doesn't have to give up on his first draft pick. Mekhi Becton can still work towards securing a long-term future. With him just having a baby and stuff, I'm sure it's not something he wants to, just pack his whole family up and have to move to another team for anyway. So maybe we can find some common ground here, but let me know where your thoughts are on this situation, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.